Good afternoon and welcome to the Transformation Zone, where we think and we know that if you transform your thinking, you can transform your world. Thanks for joining us this week. Again, we are going to visit with one of the industry's experts. And this industry expert will allow us to do a better job of maximizing our time and our energy on one of the country's greatest and the world's greatest social media avenues, and that's LinkedIn. And that's none other than Mr. Gary Kissel. Gary, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for the opportunity.
Welcome to the Transformation
I'm a big
Zone.
fan.
Well, thank you very much. Well, we're excited to have you with us.
Pleasure.
A couple of weeks ago, Gary and I sat down and we met and we talked about LinkedIn and how it's become businesses' new platform of exchange and how people are now going there to promote their business, market their business, and improve their positioning both individually as well as collectively. Mm-hmm. So, Gary, tell us a little bit about LinkedIn, what you do, and how you go about doing it.
Well, it is a very dynamic platform, as you mentioned. I started 5 years ago as a person that wanted to develop a real estate business. I'd walked away from the corporate world, tired of the slap on the back and the $20 extra a week, if you can relate. So I decided, that LinkedIn was, even at that time, the #1 platform for business worldwide. And it probably had less than 100 million members at that time.
Wow.
Now we're looking at over 300 million, and LinkedIn is due to double again.
So 300 million people. Wow.
Correct. So the opportunity has been fantastic.
So Gary, LinkedIn has specific areas that you can utilize to help improve your positioning. And I know we talked about some of them, and I'd like to visit some of those today.
Sure.
For someone who's just starting in LinkedIn, do you have any recommendations for them?
Well, the first thing is the focus is the base. So the profile has to be optimized. You want to use a profile and direct a profile to your target market. Okay. Many professionals that I talk to don't know what that target market is. So that's a fundamental starting step. Also, many professionals talk more about their position or their title as opposed to what their benefits and features are. I want to stop you there for a minute because this is part of the conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago. When I looked at LinkedIn, as the president and CEO of my own company, I felt as though it was important to utilize that in the title. I wasn't aware of some of the nuggets of information that you shared with me just about the title. Can you talk a little bit about that title bar and, instead of president and CEO, what's more important? Or it may not be president and CEO. It may be that you are a vice president, a director, an entrepreneur. But what is it that you need to put in that bar? Well, I have 59 secrets about LinkedIn, and this is probably the primary one that people can take advantage of. So I'll share that with you. The title bar, or the headline, which is right below your name, allows for 120 characters. Wow. So most professionals are underutilizing it, first of all. Second of all, they're talking more about themselves. Well, they're duplicating information that's already in their profile and missing a chance, just like you're trying to get attention when you give a resume to somebody, that headline can connect with somebody that's looking for your service or your benefit, whatever it is.
So you want to be more descriptive about the talents and tools that you bring to the marketplace than you do the title that you carry.
Absolutely. Most people are looking for someone with a solution or a service on LinkedIn. So why not have it right up front, draw them in, and then you can talk in great detail in your summary about all the attributes you have and offer.
So if I was to look for Gary Kissel, what would it say?
It says LinkedIn coach, LinkedIn speaker, LinkedIn author, and then I have a call to action. It says ask for a consultation with me with my phone number right in the title. So It's pretty direct. So
that's pretty powerful. I know that when we sat down, I went from president and CEO to sales transitions expert and really focused not only my LinkedIn profile, but focused back to the TV show. Because of the Transformation Zone. So now that I'm looking at my title and where I fall in that particular instance, What's next? You talked about 59. I know we don't have time to cover all 59 today.
Yeah, that would cost you.
That would cost us, okay. Well, we want to make sure that people call you and spend the time to go through that 59 and spend the money, because remember something, folks. There's nothing more important than spending your time, your energy, and your talent in ways that are going to return on your investment. And I've asked Gary to join us today because I know that by doing that, you're going to get a return on your investment. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for.
Absolutely.
So, do you mind sharing at least one or two more?
Oh, not at all. Keywords are very important. So I give people a lot of homework. So as you know, so I suggest that people write down the keywords that describe the target market they're seeking, the kind of client that they have in mind as an ideal client, and then use those words that that person might use to find them or somebody in that same industry.
Okay.
And then you sprinkle those like pepper throughout your whole profile, and that helps you rise in the rankings, just like people pay for Google. Well, LinkedIn has the same sort of formula.
Okay, great. So now, everybody's asking probably, you talk about Gary's an expert and Gary did this and Gary did that and he's going to recommend these things. Let's talk a little bit about Gary Kissel. Other than the fact that you started in the real estate industry and you really grew your wings on the way down as it relates to LinkedIn, how did you get there? What is it that drove you to really go into LinkedIn and become an expert?
I reached a point where I wanted something different. I reached that moment where I said enough was enough. I wanted to quit working for other people for whatever they determined was my reward, and I wanted to be able to determine my own reward.
Okay.
So I made the jump.
So you made the jump and you started to work specifically in the LinkedIn arena. And, I say this specifically the LinkedIn arena, but the LinkedIn platform has multiple arenas.
It does.
It has a vast network of groups and areas that you can utilize to get your message out there. So as an expert, let's talk about you first, and then let's talk about a potential customer, a prospect.
Okay.
What kind of groups do you focus on?
Well, initially, I started using LinkedIn search engine to find investors, cash buyers, and then I quantified and determined that my market was mainly investors that were wanting to buy properties from me here in South Florida, but they were from the north. They were from Northeast U.S. and Eastern Canada. So I began attracting those people. I connected, there's three parts to social selling. That's finding, engaging, and connecting with them. So I began connecting and finding those people, and then I offered them a unique proposition that they could have properties here in Florida for vacation, retirement, or income. And lo and behold, they came to Florida and they bought from me. They're still buying from me. I'm looking even today for a tenant for one of my investors' homes.
Great. So you're still focused in the real estate arena?
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
I have a niche real estate interest.
Okay. So one of the areas that he's found groups relates to real estate.
It does.
Okay. You're also working to educate.
Yes.
So how do you find the potential people to educate from that standpoint?
Well, I search whatever category, applies to that. So I can look for educators, teachers, social thinkers, people that are involved in that role of educating. So I could go to those groups and, search for groups. I can search for companies. I can search for people and many other things under any category, really, that is of interest to me.
It's amazing. When Gary and I sat down a couple of weeks ago, we talked about doing that for me. And one of the things as a sales transitions expert and a motivational speaker and the other things that I do was outlining and determining the best groups for the best return for me.
Right.
When you look at all of these groups, because there's thousands and thousands of groups out there.
2 million.
2 million groups.
2 million groups.
Wow. How could you possibly understand and pick the best group? I mean, if I went to a category, let's talk about sales training. Okay, which is my category, and I'll throw that out to you, any of you who are interested in sales training. if I use the keyword sales training, it's going to give me, if there's millions of groups, probably 50,000.
Yeah, more or less, sure.
Or more or less groups that focus in some way, shape, form, or fashion in that acumen of sales training.
Right.
What's next?
Well, here's 2 tips. One, I look at the size of the group. So if I'm going to be posting to a group, I want it to have a good audience. So I go with a larger group. I also go with the group that has a lot of active discussions going on. And when you query these groups, it tells you right up front that bit of information. So it helps me determine which ones I want to investigate.
Okay, very good. So what's a good size group?
I like big groups, I like small groups. It just depends on how it relates to my target market.
Okay.
Some of the groups that I'm in are 900,000 people, some of the social media groups. Other groups are 1,000, 2,000, 10,000.
Wow, that's a lot. I know that, and it's funny because I looked at a couple of the groups with Gary, and one of the groups that I joined had over 250,000 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many groups can you join?
50.
You can have a maximum of 50 groups.
50 at one time. But you can move in and out of them so you can keep recycling the groups if you like.
Great. Speaking of moving in and out, we're going to be back with you in a moment, and we're going to talk a little bit more to Gary about his vision of his involvement with LinkedIn and the direction that he's going to take in the future. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're here with my good friend Gary Kissel, and we're talking about LinkedIn and the real key with LinkedIn, as in any social media or marketing opportunities. How do you spend your time and how do you get the most bang for your buck? Gary, we talked about LinkedIn, and we talked a little bit about vision and where things are going. I really want to talk to you because I know you're the expert on where's LinkedIn going?
Let's talk about where it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
For the past 2 years, LinkedIn has been determined by Forbes magazine as the fastest growing technology company in the world, 2 years in a row.
Wow.
So as I mentioned, it's probably gone up 3 or 4 times in membership since I started 5 years ago. The CEO of LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner, in this article, comments how in the short term, LinkedIn wants to double again in size. So I would say within 3 years, you're going to be looking at 600 million members.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's part of their vision.
That's absolutely amazing. It's funny because we're all tied into social media these days, and everybody's trying to maximize their time and maximize the impact or effect of it.
Of course.
A lot of people spend a lot of time on Facebook, and Facebook is huge and continues to grow just like LinkedIn.
Yes.
Recently, personally, I've gravitated a little bit away from the Facebook side and moved more into the LinkedIn side because of the message that I want to get out there, the market that appeals to me, and where I'm spending my time. So as this grows to 600 million, how does that change your positioning as the expert, and how does it change what you bring to the equation for me as the novice who wants that exposure?
Well, to me, it validates the fact that time spent on LinkedIn now is good time spent, because you're growing. You already have an enormous business-focused platform, if you will, that's going to double in size. So my belief is that anything I can do to position myself even more as an expert, and likewise for yourself, is going to be enhanced because all these new people are going to be coming in. Already there's much more talk about LinkedIn, and just recently this year it's developed a publishing feature for all members, not just the influential people, not just the Richard Bransons of the world, the Bill Gates, but for you and I. So suddenly we can become publishers of our own expert information that we can share with our audience.
So as the market expands, we expand. So as the expert, when you're getting to 600 million people, one of the things that I've often wondered as I've looked at my own profile, and maybe you can answer this for me, I'm connected to almost 2,000 people directly in my profile. But under that it says you're indirectly connected to over 19 million people.
Correct.
Now, I understand the 6 degrees of separation, don't get me wrong. But 19 million people,
Yeah.
how do I interact? Am I interacting with these 19 million people?
Well, to a certain extent you are, indirectly, and certainly you are with your 2,000 more directly. So when you post, not only does your network see that, but the people that are in your network, they have their network, and those people are seeing your posts also. So that's the indirect part.
So is there something I need to do in addition to the post so that not only the 2,000 but the 19 million see it? Or do I just, when I make the post, the 2,000 see it, and because these people are attached to them, it shows up in their network automatically?
Well, I don't try to outthink it. I just try to increase my sales funnel.
Okay.
So even those people that are endorsing me or commenting on my post, I will try to connect with those people that I think are going to, somehow have a good affinity with what I'm trying to accomplish.
Okay. We all want that exponential growth. So I'm just asking the question because wouldn't you want 19 million people attached to you and connected and understanding what you do?
Of course.
So 600 million people, Gary. That's amazing. That is amazing. So what's new with Gary Kissel? Where is Gary going? And what are you working on right now?
I'm doing a lot more writing. I just wrote an article this weekend about small business, why they should, use LinkedIn, because I get that question. So a lot of my topics come from questions that people raise in my coaching sessions. So I've been writing, I have now 6 articles on LinkedIn. You can see them on my profile. I'm also collaborating with some other artists on an ebook, and I'm working with another LinkedIn expert out of Los Angeles, and we may be rolling out some co-authored books together.
Okay, great. So if I'm a potential customer and I'm looking for a LinkedIn expert, how do I get in touch with Gary Kissel?
Call me, 561-716-4359. Visit my profile, all my information, all my recommendations, and my articles are there. So it's linkedin.com/in/Gary Kissel, and everything will open up for you there.
Fantastic. Well, Gary, I'll tell you what, it's worked wonders for me. I appreciate the time you spent with me a couple of weeks ago. We'll spend some more time together.
Great.
And thanks very much for stopping in today and sharing some time with my guests.
My pleasure.
Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, folks. Gary Kissel, you heard it, LinkedIn. It's the way of the future, and it's the way of today. Spend your time wisely.